Hi there. I'm reviewing the movie The Last of the Mohicans today, and I first saw this film in the United States. I was staying with Warren, who was an instructor at Fletzy, and we went to the video store to get something to watch on. He had this fantastic entertainment centre. It was like being in the Odeon, and he was looking at the videos and he said, of course you've seen Last of the Mohicans, and I hadn't. I'd actually missed it on release. So he said, oh, we'll get that. And I was just knocked out by it. It was an absolutely terrific film, and it's in my top 5 movies of all time for many, many reasons. And one of the delights of watching it with Warren is that apart from being an instructor in the modern use of the firearms, he was actually an instructor with, or he was one of the guys who developed the tactical speed shooting program at Fletzy. He was very, very into the weapons of the Old West, and he used to compete with the old revolvers and the old rifles, including muzzle-loading weapons. And he was seriously into it. He told me once he'd made a knife, and next time I was over, he'd show it to me. And I turned up, and he got this knife out, and I was prepared to sort of be polite about something that would probably be rather roughly made. It was absolutely perfectly crafted blade, beautiful piece of work. So he was really into it. And one of the things he did while we were watching the movie was explain the use of the weapons in the film, the Native American weapons, the tomahawks and the knives, and how they were used in conjunction and so on. And the rather strange tomahawk that one of the leading characters used, and why it was shaped that way. So that was a bonus. So the film was directed by Michael Mann, and he's one of my favorite directors. He is a very visual director, and he's taken the photography in his films to an art form. And I'd be tempted to say that it was a tremendously visual film, because some of the compositions, there's one picture of a coach going over a bridge, and there's the reflection of the bridge in the water, and it's completely symmetrical. It's really beautiful. A lot of the photography is in the mountains. It's supposed to be Kentucky. It was filmed, I think, somewhere else, maybe down in Virginia. But it's absolutely breathtaking. The attack on the fort, filmed at night with the flashes of the artillery, just breathtaking. But it's balanced by the music. It's got a superb musical score, so much so that when I came home from the States, I bought the cassette of the film. It was still tapes then, still cassettes, and I used to take it when I was traveling, and I always remember listening to the main title theme for Mohicans, coming in over the Limpopo to land at Joburg. It was that amazing experience. So that combination of the fantastic visuals and the music really put this film right up there. So the star is Daniel Day-Lewis, who plays Hawkeye, and what can you say about Daniel Day-Lewis? He's an absolutely superb actor, and he's taken this part to heart. Now, he is supposed to stay in character throughout the film, and only be addressed by his character's name and so on, and eat worms and things if that's what the character demands. Well, Terry worked with him on Gangs of New York, and he introduced himself to him because they had a mutual colleague in Peter Postlethwaite. And Terry was calling him Dan, calling him Bill, because he's playing Bill the Butcher. And he said, "My name's Dan." And Terry said it was just ridiculous. He wasn't like that at all. This is some sort of myth. But he really is really top actor. There's no doubt about it. Madeleine Stowe, beautiful, playing the love interest. Wes Studi as Magua, who is seething for revenge. The plot is treachery, revenge, and love. And then you had Stephen Waddington, who at the time was probably unknown, and he had a major role as a major, who was a rather kind of portrayed the worst of the British colonial officer, supercilious and very much conforming to a set of rules, but turns out to be at the end very noble. And it was a great performance by Stephen Waddington, because I've seen him in other things since where he's played a completely different character. You know, a Cockney villain and so on, and done that superbly. And he hasn't really become a star, but he's a really good character actor. The set piece fights in the movie, there's several of them. There's a couple of major clashes between the army and the settlers and the Native Americans. There's two of them, major ones, and then towards the end of the movie there's more of a personal hand-to-hand combat scene. Really well done. Fantastic photography of the fight scenes, fantastic authenticity, and you kind of almost holding your breath at some stages. There's tragedy in it, there's loss, and at the end there's a kind of peaceful redemption. So Last of the Mohicans, I'll put a link to the trailer. Listen to the music soundtrack. There's a version of the main music by the Royal Scots band, which is very haunting. So, as I say, it's one of my top 5.